She leaned in, her body touched yours, but something in her didn't soften, didn't surrender, didn't feel safe, and you felt it. It was subtle, maybe even invisible to most men, but not to you, not to the kind of man who pays attention, because deep down, you knew something was off. She let you hug her, but she didn't melt into you. And that moment, that tiny shift in her body language, haunted you more than you'd ever admit. Now here's the truth no one tells you. A hug is never just a hug. It's a test, a message, a mirror. It tells her, in a fraction of a second, whether you're the kind of man she can feel safe with, or just another body taking up space. And most men, they fail that test without knowing it. They hug too soft, too hard, too fast, too mechanical. They try to comfort her with movement instead of presence. They think squeezing tighter makes her feel protected, but all it does is make her feel smothered. Because the real reason a woman lets go and melts into a man has nothing to do with muscles, and everything to do with energy, intent, and the silent masculine presence she can feel in her nervous system. This video isn't about cute gestures. This is about the kind of hug that shifts something inside her, where she breathes out, her body relaxes, and a quiet voice inside her whispers, "I trust him. I want him." And the best part? She won't even understand why. So if you've ever felt like your hugs didn't land, if you've ever seen her pull away after you thought you did everything right, this is for you. Because today, I'm breaking down the exact things most men do wrong, and the 8 silent moves that flip the switch from tension to desire. These are moves that don't just make her feel safe. They make her emotionally crave you without ever needing to beg for it. And stay with me to the end, because the last 2 signs are the ones no one talks about. The moments that reprogram her nervous system to associate your presence with emotional security and physical longing. Let's begin. 1. The power of stillness. Why moving too much kills the moment. You ever notice how some guys can wrap their arms around a woman, say absolutely nothing, and she just melts? She lets go. Her breath softens. Her whole body leans into him like he's a quiet storm, calm, but unshakable. But when you hug her, you feel her tense up. She's in your arms, but she's not with you. She's somewhere else, and you don't know what you did wrong. Let me show you the mistake most men make, not out of weakness, but out of habit. They move too much. They pat her back, shift their weight, fidget their hands. They act like the hug is something to get through, not something to settle into. But here's the truth. Stillness is masculine. Movement, especially in moments of intimacy, reveals nervous energy, and women feel that. You see, when you're still, completely still, during a hug, when you breathe slowly and hold her with no agenda, you become a grounding force in her nervous system. Her body reads it like this. He's calm. He's not trying to rush this. I can let go now. And the moment that clicks, she starts to trust you. Not because you said the right thing, not because of your cologne, but because in that one silent embrace, you showed her something most men can't. Control, presence, safety. Stillness isn't just the absence of motion. It's the presence of emotional power. It says, I'm not fidgeting because I don't need to prove anything. I'm not rushing because I'm not afraid of intimacy. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. That's when her shoulders drop. That's when she exhales for real. That's when her body and her mind begin to trust you without explanation. She deals with chaos all day, with men who rush, talk too much, overthink, or try to impress. But when she steps into your arms and finds stillness, that contrast hits her soul. You're no longer just a man. You're a safe place. And here's the part most guys miss. You don't need to say a single word. You don't need to change your posture or rehearse lines. You just have to learn to be still while the world, and maybe even she, moves around you. Because the most powerful men aren't loud. They're present. So the next time you hug her, stop trying to do something. Don't pat. Don't sway. Don't fidget. Just hold, breathe, be, and watch what happens. If you've ever hugged a woman and felt her body stiffen, or sensed that invisible wall between you, comment, "I felt it" below. Because once you've mastered stillness, the next step is knowing how to hold her. And there's a difference between holding her close and clutching her out of fear. Most men don't know the line, but when you do, she feels it, and she responds. Let's talk about the masculine frame and how to hold her in a way that makes her feel feminine, safe, and completely drawn to you. 2. The masculine frame. How to hold her without clutching. Once you've mastered stillness, the next step is learning how to hold her. Because there's a difference between holding her close and clutching her out of fear. Most men don't know the line, and without meaning to, they cross it. You see, when a man hugs out of insecurity, it shows. He holds her like he's afraid she'll slip away. His grip tightens, his arms squeeze, and the energy says, "Don't leave." And the moment a woman feels that tension, something in her pulls back. Even if her body stays, her heart takes a step away. That's because masculine energy isn't about control. It's about containment. She doesn't want to feel owned. She wants to feel enveloped. Think about it. A man who's grounded in his presence doesn't grab. He doesn't cling. He simply holds with calm strength, as if to say, "You're safe here, but you're also free." And that subtle difference, it makes her body soften, her walls lower, and her trust deepen. This is the power of the masculine frame, the invisible structure that makes her feel like she can fall into you and not get lost. It's in how your arms rest, not how they squeeze. It's in the way your chest feels like a wall she can lean against, not a trap she wants to escape. She doesn't want to feel pressure. She wants to feel protection. And when you hold her with that kind of energy, firm, present, steady, she stops bracing. She stops scanning for danger. She starts relaxing into her feminine, not because she chose to, but because you gave her permission by how you held her. You didn't pull, you didn't clutch. You just were there, solid, still, unshakable. That's when her body leans in like it belongs there, not out of need, but out of trust. And the men who know this, they don't have to say much, because their energy says everything. So here's the question I want you to sit with. Have you ever held a woman and felt her body shift, like she let go of something while in your arms? If you have, or if that's something you want to feel one day, comment, "I want her to feel it." Because once you learn how to hold her without holding on to her, you become a rare kind of man in her world. And here's the part most men don't even consider. Even if your arms are steady, even if your frame is perfect, there's something else happening between you. Something invisible that connects you or separates you. It's happening in the silence, in your breath, in the rhythm of your nervous system. And if you get this next part right, she'll start to sync with you without even realizing it. Let's talk about the hidden power of breath and how it silently builds a connection she can't explain, but won't want to lose. 3. Breath syncing, the hidden trigger that makes her feel connected, Even if your arms are steady, even if your frame is strong, there's still one part of your body that's speaking louder than anything you say: your breath. Because in that quiet moment, when you're holding her, your breath becomes the language she hears without sound. And most men, they have no idea it's happening. They hug her with shallow, fast breathing because they're nervous, distracted, or thinking too much, and her body feels it. Not consciously. She won't say, "You were breathing too fast," but she'll pull away. She'll feel unsettled. She won't know why, but her body will whisper, "Something doesn't feel right." Now here's what most men never learn. The feminine nervous system syncs with the masculine when she feels safe. That means if your breathing is calm, slow, grounded, her body will mirror you, without asking, without thinking. It just happens. And when it does, her heart rate slows, her mind quiets, her walls soften. It's like she slips into your rhythm, not because you forced her to, but because your energy invited her in. This is the secret of emotional regulation through touch. Because a woman doesn't just want to be held, she wants to be calmed. She wants to feel like the storm inside her can rest when she's near you. But if your breath is scattered, if you're tense, nervous, or rushing the moment, she'll feel all of that, and she'll pull back, even if she doesn't know why. So here's what you do. Next time you hold her, don't speak. Just breathe, slow, deep, controlled. Let your breath say what your words can't. You're safe now. You can let go. I've got you. And watch what happens. You'll feel her shift. Not dramatically, but quietly. Her hands will relax. Her shoulders will drop. She might sigh or sink into you just a little more. That's not random. That's her body responding to yours. You've just made her feel something she can't explain, but doesn't want to lose. And that's power. The kind of power most men never discover, because they never slow down enough to feel it. But the man who does, he becomes unforgettable, because he doesn't just touch her body, he calms her soul. If you've ever held a woman and felt her body soften, or want to create that feeling without saying a word, comment, "I breathe with presence," because when your breath leads, she follows, instinctively, emotionally, completely. And now, imagine if your hands, the very parts of you touching her, also knew exactly where to go and what to say, without a single word. Let's talk about hand placement and the invisible message it sends directly to her nervous system. 4. Hand placement, the subtle signal that builds trust instantly. Your breath calms her. It syncs her body to yours without saying a word. But your hands guide the experience. They speak a language louder than any sentence, one of intent, dominance, trust, and safety. And the way you place them determines how her nervous system responds to you. Now here's the problem. Most men never think about this. They just hug automatically, whatever feels natural. But natural isn't always right. Too high, and it feels awkward. Too low, and it feels possessive. Too loose, and she doesn't feel wanted. Too forceful, and you break the very safety you're trying to create. Because here's the truth most guys miss. Your hand placement sends a direct message to her subconscious, and depending on what it says, she either melts into your arms or emotionally pulls away. So what's the right move? One hand resting gently on her lower back, the other just behind her upper back or lightly at the nape of her neck. Not gripping, not guiding, just present. What does that communicate? It says, "I've got you. You're safe in this space. You don't have to hold it all together right now." It's a protective frame without possession. It activates her feminine softness because your energy says, I'm leading this moment, but I don't need to control it. And when you get this right, you'll feel her body respond. Her spine might relax. Her chest might rise against yours. She may even let out a quiet sigh, the kind that comes when she realizes, I don't have to be strong right now. That's when she begins to trust you. Not because of anything you said, but because of how you touched her. And make no mistake, she notices. A man who places his hands with intention becomes unforgettable. Because most men touch to get something, but a rare man touches to give her something. A sense of being held without being controlled. So next time you hug her, be mindful of where your hands are. Be intentional with your presence. And know that every inch of where you touch her matters more than you realize. If you've ever wanted a woman to feel safe just by the way you held her, comment, I hold with intention. Because when you do this right, she won't want to leave your arms. Not because you're holding her in, but because she doesn't want to leave the feeling. And yet, even if your hands are perfect, even if your presence is strong, there's one more piece men constantly miss. 5. Hug timing. Why ending it too soon can kill the connection. You can have the perfect stillness, the grounded frame, the slow breath, even the most intentional hand placement. But if you let go too soon, you break everything you just built. And that's what most men never realize. They hug her. She starts to relax, and just as her body begins to let go, he pulls away, too soon, too abrupt, too disconnected. And suddenly, she feels it, that sense of, oh, it's over? That quiet disappointment, even if she never says a word. Here's the truth. The way you time a hug says more than the hug itself. Most men think a hug is just a brief gesture. You hold for a few seconds, then pull back like you're checking a box. But a woman's nervous system doesn't work like that. She doesn't feel safe the moment you wrap your arms around her. She feels safe the moment she realizes you're not in a rush to let her go. That's why the most powerful moment of a hug is the part most men skip. Those extra 2 to 3 seconds, the moment right after she thinks you're about to let go, and you don't. That moment, that's when her body truly relaxes. That's when she leans in more. Not because you held tighter, but because you gave her time to feel safe enough to stay. Think about it. How often does a woman experience a moment that isn't rushed, where a man doesn't try to move on, or escalate, or disconnect? When you stay just a little longer than she expects, she remembers it, because you weren't in a hurry. You were with her. It's not about dragging it out awkwardly. It's not about overstaying. It's about presence. Showing her that you're not holding her just to do something. You're holding her to be with her, even in silence. That's emotional power. And when you get this right, she doesn't want to let go. Not because you're pulling her in, but because she doesn't want to lose the feeling you've created. That's what lingers. That's what makes her remember you when you're gone. If you've ever felt like you ended the moment too early, or if you've ever wanted to leave her feeling something deeper, comment, I don't rush the moment, because most men are quick to act, quick to move, quick to pull away. But a rare man, the kind she doesn't forget, stays just long enough to change how she feels in his arms. And yet, even if you get the timing right, even if you hold her long enough to touch her soul, there's one final move that can either lock that emotional connection in or undo it completely. It's the release. Because how you let her go says whether you were truly present or just pretending to be. Let's talk about the release technique. and how letting go the right way can make her crave the next time she gets to be close to you. 6. The release technique. Letting go in a way that makes her want more. You've done everything right so far. You were still grounded, present. You held her in a way that made her feel safe, maybe even seen, and you didn't rush it. You stayed just a little longer, long enough for her to soften. But then comes the moment that most men ruin, the release. Because the second you let go, you're either amplifying everything she just felt, or you're silently erasing it. And most guys, they disconnect. No pause, no presence. Just arms drop, moment over, like it never mattered. They release her like they're clocking out of intimacy, like they were holding her just to check off a box. And whether she realizes it or not, she feels that. She feels the emotional whiplash, from warmth to nothing, from connection to absence. And just like that, the magic dissolves. But what if I told you that how you let go can leave her thinking about you for hours? Here's what most men don't know. A powerful release is slow, intentional, and conscious. It's not a sudden drop. It's a gentle letting go. It's the kind of release where your hands relax gradually, where your body pulls away second by second, not all at once, where your eyes linger on hers for a moment longer, not to stare, but to say, without words, I was here with you, fully. I felt that, and I'm not rushing away. Maybe you lightly run your hand down her arm as you pull back. Maybe you pause just a heartbeat longer than she expects. Whatever it is, it tells her the truth, that you weren't holding her just to get something. You were holding her because you were present. And when you release her with presence, you leave her in the moment, even after it ends. She'll walk away with a quiet ache, not of pain, but of longing. She won't feel cut off. She'll feel touched in a way most men are too rushed or too unaware to ever create. That's what makes her want more. That's what makes her look back, replay the hug in her mind, and wonder, what was that? Because the man who ends the hug slowly, who steps away like the moment mattered, leaves a deeper impact than the one who tried to impress. So if you've ever wanted a woman to feel you even after you let go, comment, I leave her feeling it. Because emotional power isn't just in how you enter the moment, it's in how you exit it. And now, what if she's not expecting your touch at all, but still feels completely safe when it happens? That's the power of the surprise back hug. When her guard is down, her heart is open, and your presence wraps around her like quiet protection. It's not just unexpected, it's undeniably powerful. Let's talk about the surprise back hug and how to use it to ignite softness, trust, and deep emotional pull when she least expects it. She'll walk away with a quiet ache, not of pain, but of longing. She won't feel cut off. She'll feel touched in a way most men are too rushed or too unaware to ever create. That's what makes her want more. That's what makes her look back, replay the hug in her mind, and wonder, what was that? Because the man who ends the hug slowly, who steps away like the moment mattered, leaves a deeper impact than the one who tried to impress. So if you've ever wanted a woman to feel you even after you let go, comment, I leave her feeling it. Because emotional power isn't just in how you enter the moment, it's in how you exit it. And now, what if she's not expecting your touch at all, but still feels completely safe when it happens? That's the power of the surprise back hug. When her guard is down, her heart is open, and your presence wraps around her like quiet protection. It's not just unexpected, it's undeniably powerful. Let's talk about the surprise back hug and how to use it to ignite softness, trust, and deep emotional pull when she least expects it. But here's the truth. This only works when she already feels safe with you. If the emotional connection isn't there, if you haven't earned her trust, the surprise back hug can feel invasive, uncomfortable, like a violation of space. But when she trusts you, when your energy is calm, grounded, and familiar, the moment your arms slide around her waist from behind, she melts. Because you're not confronting her, you're not demanding her attention, you're simply there, behind her, with her, wrapping her in presence, without a single word. She might be doing something simple, pouring coffee, looking at her phone, standing in the kitchen, and then your presence, not aggressive, not playful, just solid, quiet, protective, and you'll feel it. Her body will pause, her breath will shift. She might lean her head back toward you or rest her hand on yours. That's not just affection, that's emotional surrender. It's her way of saying, I don't need to be strong right now. You're here. You didn't have to ask. You didn't have to speak. You just reminded her that she's not alone. And that's what most men miss. Touch doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Sometimes, the touch that says the most is the one that arrives in silence and holds her, not because she asked, but because you knew. That's why the back hug is so rare, because it requires a kind of presence that listens without listening, that watches, feels, and moves, only when it knows the moment is right. If you've ever held her from behind and felt her lean in, with no words, no resistance, just peace, comment, she felt it. Because that kind of embrace isn't just physical, it's spiritual. It tells her that she's safe, that you see her, even when she's not looking. But now, here's the final truth. Sometimes the most powerful move is doing nothing at all. Knowing when not to touch her, when to give her space, silence, distance. That's not weakness, that's emotional strength. Let's talk about the final piece. When not to hug, and how restraint creates desire, respect, and power. 8. When not to hug. Respecting her space increases your value. You've learned how to hold her, how to calm her body, how to stay longer, and even how to let go in a way that makes her miss you. But the rarest move of all is knowing when not to touch her at all. This is where most men fall apart, because they mistake her silence for a problem. They rush in when she pulls away. They hug not to give, but to get reassurance, to get connection, to get back the closeness they're afraid of losing. But sometimes, she doesn't need your arms. She needs your awareness. There are moments when a woman is in her own space, processing emotion, feeling overwhelmed, trying to find her center again. And the last thing she wants is to be pulled into a hug she didn't ask for. Not because she doesn't care, not because she doesn't love, but because in that moment, what she needs most is freedom. And here's where real masculinity shows up. A grounded man doesn't chase comfort. He doesn't throw himself at her hoping to fix something. He understands that restraint is power. Because when she's distant, and you stay calm, when she's emotional, and you don't interrupt her space, when she pulls away, and you don't panic, she feels something deeper than affection. She feels respect. She feels emotional safety, not because you held her, but because you knew when not to. A weak man clings. A needy man moves fast. But a wise man, he holds still. He waits. He gives her the gift of silence, because he understands that real trust is built in absence, not pressure. That's emotional discipline. That's rare. And that's why the man who can hold back his touch can create longing without presence. She starts to wonder. She starts to miss the feeling of being near him, not because he chased her, but because he didn't. That's the man she comes back to, not the one who grabs her every time she slips away, but the one who stood still, strong, certain, and silent, and let her choose to return. If you've ever had the strength to stay calm in the silence, to let her feel what she needed without invading her space, comment, "I don't chase comfort." Because sometimes, the most powerful hug is the one you don't give. Take a breath, because you've just walked through something most men will never understand. This wasn't about how to hug a woman. It was about how to hold her without needing her, how to show up with so much presence, calm, and control that she feels safe even when you say nothing at all. It was about energy, awareness, precision, and restraint. You've learned how stillness speaks louder than words, how your breath can regulate her emotions, how your hands, when placed with intention, can make her trust you without logic, how holding her just a little longer can make her fall deeper, and how letting go the right way can leave her craving your presence long after you're gone. You even learned the move most men can't pull off, the surprise back hug that triggers emotional surrender when she's least expecting it. And finally, you discovered what separates a grounded man from an insecure one, knowing when not to touch her, when to give her space, when to trust that your presence is already enough, even in your stillness. Because the kind of man who masters this isn't playing games. He's not manipulating feelings. He's not chasing validation. He's simply leading with calm, holding with purpose, and letting go with power. This is emotional mastery. This is high-level masculinity. And this is how you become unforgettable to a woman, not through what you say, but through what you make her feel. If this resonated with you, if you felt something shift as you imagined yourself in these moments, then remember this: you're not like most men. You're learning how to lead in silence, how to speak through energy, and how to touch a woman without needing her to respond. That's rare. That's powerful. That's the kind of man she won't forget. And this is just the beginning. Keep growing, keep learning, keep evolving into the man who changes the room, not by being loud, but by being felt.